I'm standing in the middle of my bedroom, staring at dark red bloodstains smeared across the oak floor. No, I wasn't attacked. I painted this crime scene myself. In the next 48 hours, my parents are going to believe they've lost their daughter forever. This is my endgame. My craziest plan yet, a lesson taught through pure terror. But when they burst through that door and saw the scene, their reaction was the thing that actually broke me. To understand what drives a 27-year-old woman to this edge, you have to go back 3 months. Back to the day I bought my first $500,000 home and realized a brutal truth. Sometimes, you pay the highest price for the thing you thought was cheapest, your freedom. I thought I had it all, but my parents had a way of turning my American dream into a total nightmare, using the very key I gave them. The one they promised was only for emergencies. I bet some of you will laugh thinking about losing your freedom in your own home in ways you can't even imagine, being scared so bad you'd literally pee your pants. Stick around until the end to see the secret behind my plan, whether I actually won my freedom or just made things a whole lot worse, and how I dodged the legal fallout of faking a crime scene. You're gonna want to see this. Have you ever felt like a total stranger in a house you paid for with your own damn money? I'm Emily, and this is the story of the day I realized my home in downtown Seattle was actually just a glass cage, and someone else held the keys. It started with the throw pillows. I was standing in the doorway, key still gripped in my palm, eyes locked on my sofa. The navy pillow I always keep on the left, it was on the right, and the cream-tasseled one was sitting exactly where the navy one should have been. Someone had been in my house. When I signed the deed 3 months ago using every cent I'd saved from my freelance design gigs, I thought I finally held absolute freedom. My space, my rules. No more living under my parents' roof, no more following their schedule, no more reporting where I was going or when I'd be back. My mom, Margaret, asked for a spare key the day I moved in. Just for emergencies, honey, she said, casually tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. What if there's a fire, or you get hurt, and we need to check on you? At the time, it sounded reasonable. Parents worry, right? So I gave it to her. I watched her snap it onto her keychain right next to an old college photo of me, and I didn't give it a second thought. But standing in my living room at 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, I knew exactly what happened. The pillows weren't the only evidence. On the kitchen counter sat 3 Tupperware containers filled with food I definitely didn't cook. Pot roast, garden salad, homemade bread. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Hope you like the goodies I left. I just stopped by to drop off dinner. But hey, the house is coming along, though you really need to add some color to that living room. Love you. I called her immediately. Emily, did you get my text? Her voice was bright, cheerful. Totally oblivious to the boundary she'd just bulldozed. Mom, you can't just walk into my house like that. I was bringing you dinner. You've been working way too hard on those designs. I know you don't have time to cook a real meal. That's not the point, Mom. You have to call first. You need to ask me. She laughed. She actually laughed out loud. Emily, sweetie, you're my daughter. I don't need an appointment to see you. I was just in the neighborhood. I had leftovers and I had a key. That's what keys are for. Keys are for emergencies, Mom. Well, to me, you not eating right is an emergency. Did you try the roast yet? It's Aunt Carol's honey glaze recipe. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache starting to bloom. Mom, I'm serious. Next time, call first. Fine. Don't be so sensitive. I'll talk to you later, baby. She hung up before I could even respond. I stood there in my kitchen, clutching my phone, gasping for air, and trying to tell myself I was overreacting. She was just being a mom. An overbearing, controlling mom, sure, but she meant well. The food actually smelled amazing, and it saved me from another night of takeout. That fake peace lasted a few days until my phone buzzed again. Your workspace is too dark. I can tell the feng shui is off. It's gonna hurt your career. Next time I'm over, we're moving the desk to the light. Your dad agrees. This time, I shut it down. No thanks, Mom. I like it where it is. I'm more productive there. My text went into a black hole. No reply. Like my refusal was just background noise in her own personal world. That silence? That was the loudest warning sign I ever got. I should have trusted my gut. I should have demanded that key back right then and there. Because 2 weeks later, things got way worse. That makeup bottle wasn't mine. That Saturday morning, I stumbled into the bathroom half asleep and ready to shower before meeting a friend downtown. A cheap, sickly sweet perfume, Lily's scent, hit me first, mixed with the familiar smell of Mom's laundry detergent. It was a bizarre chemical cocktail that made the hair on my arms stand up. Then I saw it. My black silk cocktail dress, the most expensive thing I own, was draped carelessly over the edge of the tub. And right there, on the collar, was a smeared, blood-red lipstick stain. I didn't even have to think. My legs moved on autopilot toward the jewelry box in my bedroom, my heart hammering against my ribs like a warning siren. My hands shook as I tore through every drawer. The small velvet box for my pearl earrings, the ones I bought myself to celebrate my first big contract, was flipped open. Only one earring sat there, lonely. A choked-up sob caught in my throat. Then, back on the bathroom vanity, I saw something even worse. A high-end serum bottle, not mine. I grabbed it, my fingers tightening around the cold glass. Advanced recovery formula, $90 a pop. Lily's absolute favorite. That's when I saw the sticky note. My mom's familiar, loopy handwriting. Lily, there's food in the fridge for you. Remember to lock up when you leave. And turn off the light in your sister's office. She always forgets. Love, Mom. I read it 3 times. The air in the bathroom turned stone cold. She didn't just let Lily in, she was hosting her, mothering her in my house, like this was her personal Airbnb and I was just some invisible maid they tolerated out of pity. A cold, numbing rage surged up, drowning out the tears. Before my brain could even process the move, I hurled that serum bottle into the trash. The glass shattered with a sharp crunch that ripped through the silence. Right then, my phone rang. Good morning, sunshine. Did Lily remember to leave a thank you note for you? Thank you for what, exactly? For letting her crash there last night. She had a party in Seattle and didn't want to drive home late. I told her to just use your place. I mean, you're always stuck at the studio until midnight anyway. The way she said it was so casual, so no big deal, that I could feel my blood pressure hitting the ceiling. Mom, you gave Lily access to my house without asking me? Emily, she's your sister. You would have said yes anyway. That's not the point. This is my house. You can't just give out, oh, stop the drama. She just slept on the couch, took a shower, and was gone by 7 a.m. You weren't even home. What's the big deal? The big deal is that I had no idea. What if I'd come home late and found a stranger in my place? She's not a stranger. She's your sister. That doesn't make it. I took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. Mom, you are not allowed to give anyone a key to my home. I don't care if it's Lily, Dad, or the Pope. This is my private space. You're being selfish. That word hit me like a slap to the face. Excuse me? Your sister needed help, and you're throwing a tantrum because she used your shower. Family helps each other, Emily. I don't know what's changed about you since you moved out, but this attitude needs to stop right now. She hung up. I sank to the floor next to the tub, still gripping that lone pearl earring, feeling like I was losing my mind. Was I being selfish? Was I overreacting? They're my parents. She's my sister. They aren't dangerous, but the hollow pit in my stomach told me something was very, very wrong. I called Lily. Hey, did you get Mom's message? Were you at my place last night? Yeah, thanks so much. I had a Tinder date, it ran late, and I was too exhausted to drive all the way back to Tacoma. Mom told me to just head over, said it was totally fine. Lily, you have to ask me, not Mom. I own the place, but Mom gave me the green light. She has the key. I just assumed she'd talk to you. She didn't. My voice was a low growl. A long silence stretched over the line. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't think it was a whole thing. Besides, you weren't even home. There it was again. You weren't even home. Like my absence was a free pass for everyone to invade my life. Next time, just text me first. Yeah, whatever. Sorry, but I could hear it in her voice. She didn't get it. None of them did. That afternoon, after hanging up on Lily, I didn't head straight to my parents' house. I sat in my silent kitchen, staring at that lonely pearl earring. I felt a stinging sense of powerlessness. My words had no weight. My boundaries were just lines drawn in the sand. I needed proof. Something undeniable so that next time, if there was a next time, I wouldn't be arguing into a void. With a few quick taps on my phone, I ordered 2 hidden cameras disguised as a wall outlet and a small Wi-Fi router. They'd be here in 3 days. Just for peace of mind, I told myself, just so I can sleep without wondering who's taking care of my home while I'm out. Only then did I start the car and drive to my parents' place in the suburbs. Pulling up to my childhood home, everything looked the same. That loud red front door and those tacky garden gnomes my mom treats like sacred relics. My dad was already in the garage, elbow deep in the engine of his truck. "Emily, look at you, what a surprise." He grinned, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. My dad, John, is 60, a construction guy with a face carved by years of hard work and deep-set wrinkles. "I need to talk to you and Mom." His smile vanished instantly. "Everything okay, kid?" "No, Dad. Nothing is okay." We walked inside. My mom was in the kitchen prepping her famous pot roast. The whole house smelled like onions, beef, and every Sunday dinner of my childhood. "Emily, stay for dinner, honey." "I can't. I want my key back." The wooden spoon in her hand thudded against the pot. She spun around, her face shifting from shock to hurt to pure rage in about 3 seconds flat. "Your key?" "Yes, the spare key I gave you. I want it back." My dad stepped into the kitchen, slamming the garage door behind him. I felt both pairs of eyes drilling into me. Suddenly, I felt like I was 12 again, being interrogated about a bad grade or staying out past curfew. But I wasn't that kid anymore. I was 27, and this was my life. "Why do you want it back?" my dad asked, his voice dropping into that serious dad tone. "Because Mom is using it to break into my house without permission. She's dropping off food, she's giving Lily the key to crash there without even asking me. That key was for emergencies only." My mom's face turned bright red. "Bringing my daughter dinner is an emergency. Taking care of you when you're working yourself to death and not eating is an emergency. I call you guys 3 times a week, and now you want to go totally dark on us after everything we've done for you? I'm not going dark. I'm asking you to respect my boundaries." "Boundaries?" She spat the word out like it was something filthy. "Is that what that design firm is teaching you? All those fancy buzzwords. Boundaries, private space. You're making your own mother out to be some kind of criminal." "Margaret," my dad's voice was low but sharp. He only used her full name when things were getting real. But she ignored him. "I raised you. I fed you, clothed you. I paid for your college. And now you stand in my kitchen and accuse me of what? Accusing me of being a good mother? You guys are entering my home illegally. It's not breaking and entering when you have a key." She grabbed a dish towel, wringing it in her hands. Tears started welling up. Those were the same tears that had gotten her out of speeding tickets, saved me from being grounded when Dad was pissed, and helped her win every family argument since I was a toddler. "I can't believe you're treating me like this. I worry about you every day. You're out there all alone in that house. What if something happens and we can't get in?" "Nothing is gonna happen, Mom. How do you know? What if there's a fire? What if you trip in the shower? What if there's a break-in? Then I'll call the cops like a normal person." My dad stepped between us. "Emily, I think you're being paranoid." His words stung worse than hers. Dad was always the rational one, the guy who taught me how to change a tire, how to manage my budget, and how to stand on my own 2 feet. "I'm not paranoid. I'm asking for basic respect." He crossed his arms, his voice final. "We're not giving the key back." The room went dead silent, save for the bubbling pot of roast. "What?" "You heard me. We aren't giving it back. We're your parents, Emily. This is ridiculous." "Fine. Then I'm changing the locks." My mom's jaw dropped. "You wouldn't dare." "Watch me." I walked out without another word. I drove straight home and called a locksmith immediately. By 8 p.m., my house had brand new deadbolts on the front door and the balcony slider. I kept all 3 keys for myself. For the next 2 weeks, I felt like I'd won. I'd drawn a line. I'd protected myself. This house actually felt like it belonged to me again. Until one Thursday afternoon, I walked in from work and saw my mom sitting comfortably on my sofa. My briefcase hit the floor with a hollow thud that echoed through the house. My mom sat there on my couch with a cup of tea on the table and a magazine open on her lap, looking like she was the one who owned the place. How did you even get in here?" She looked up, smiling as she held up a brand new shiny key. My heart did a somersault in my chest. "Where did you get that?" "I called your property manager, Mr. Henderson, such a lovely man. I explained that I'm your mother and needed access for emergencies. He understood immediately and handed me a copy yesterday." The room started spinning. I had to grip the back of my desk chair just to keep from collapsing. You went behind my back to manipulate my property manager? Oh, stop the drama, Emily. She casually set down her magazine. Architectural Digest, of course. I'm your mother. I have every right to check on how you're living. And thank God I did. Have you even looked in your fridge? Nothing but yogurt and crusty old takeout boxes. Get out. Excuse me? Get out of my house. Now. She stood up slowly, packing her bag with the deliberate, sluggish movements of a professional victim. I can't believe you'd talk to me like that. I come here out of love, out of worry, and this is how you treat me? You manipulated my manager to trespass into my private space. That's not love. That's control. It's a mother's duty. She walked toward them, pausing only to throw a jagged look over her shoulder. You'll understand when you have kids of your own. The worrying never stops. I'm keeping this key for emergencies. The door slammed behind her. I stood there, shaking for a full minute before I could even pick up the phone to call the manager. Mr. Henderson. It's Emily from Unit 1 and 12. Oh, Emily. Your mother stopped by yesterday. What a wonderful woman. She's so worried about you. Mr. Henderson. Under no circumstances, and I mean absolutely none, are you allowed to let anyone into my home without my written consent. Even if it's my parents. Silence. I'm so sorry. I didn't know there was an issue. She was very convincing. Said you were deathly ill, and she needed to check on you. I'm perfectly fine. She lied to you. If she or anyone else asks for a key again, you call me immediately. Do you understand? Yes, of course. I'm incredibly sorry. I should have verified. It won't happen again. I hung up and called a different locksmith. I replaced the locks for the second time and sent Mr. Henderson a certified letter stating that I was the sole authorized entrant, and any further breach would be considered a violation of the management contract. 3 weeks of peace followed. During those weeks, I actually let myself hope that the message had finally landed. Then I came home from work and found the window screen lying flat on the floor, and a fresh pile of laundry folded neatly on my bed. In the fridge, a tray of casserole was still lukewarm under the foil. A sticky note was plastered on top. You're getting too thin. Love, Mom. My hands were shaking as I did a sweep of the house. The dirty laundry I'd left in the hamper was washed, dried, and tucked away in the drawers. The sink full of dishes I'd left this morning was spotless. Everything was clean, horrifyingly clean. And then I walked into my office. I pushed the door open, and the shock hit me like a physical blow. My favorite oak desk had been shoved into that dead corner Mom hated. The contemporary art poster I loved, bought from a small gallery, was gone. In its place was a bland, soul-sucking oil painting of a country landscape. My reference books, my succulents, my mood board full of raw ideas, everything that made this corner mine had been wiped away to make room for a cold, sterile order. I knelt down, my fingertips trembling as I touched the spot where my little cactus used to sit. A small, clean circle that stood out against the thin layer of dust around it. I looked up at that lifeless landscape painting, then closed my eyes, trying to visualize my abstract poster. Those bold lines, those colors, that sense of freedom. Now, it was just gone. And with it, a piece of my soul, a piece of my identity in this room, had vanished. They hadn't just cleaned. They had erased me from my own space and filled it with a version they approved of, the proper version of me. Turning away from the crime scene, I looked at my bedroom window. The second-story window that was now wide open, the screen still on the floor outside. I walked over and looked down. A thick trellis of ivy clung to the side of the building, the decorative woodwork forming a perfect, sturdy ladder. She had climbed it. In that moment, standing between a house cleaned to perfection and an office that had been depersonalized, the feeling of being violated, of having my last scrap of privacy stripped away, felt raw and agonizing. My 55-year-old mother climbed a trellis to break into my house. I called her. She picked up on the first ring. Emily, did you see the casserole? I used your favorite recipe. The one with, did you climb through my window, Mom? Silence. Mom, answer me. Did you climb through my window to get inside? Well, your door was locked. Her voice shifted instantly to defensive and pouting. What else was I supposed to do? I cooked you a beautiful dinner, I did your laundry, and now you're yelling at me. I'm yelling because you burglarized my home. It's not burglary when it's family, Emily. You're overreacting. I had to climb that window because you changed the locks again. If you'd just given us the key like a normal, good daughter, I wouldn't have had to struggle like that. This is on you, not me. I hung up immediately and called my dad. Hey, honey, I know Mom stopped by your place. Do you know she climbed through a window to get in? A long sigh echoed from the other end. She told me she was heading over. She didn't stop by, Dad. She scaled a trellis and crawled through a window because I wouldn't give her a key. Emily, she worries about you. She can't sleep at night thinking about you alone in that house. If you were just a little more cooperative, she wouldn't have to resort to such extreme measures. You're calling breaking and entering extreme measures? You guys are making everything worse. Just give me back my key. No, Emily. We have a right to know for sure that our daughter is safe and sound. You're being selfish and paranoid. Honestly, I'm disappointed in you. He hung up. I collapsed onto the sofa, the same one I'd found my mother sitting on uninvited, and stared blankly at the window. Stared at the ivy swaying gently in the evening breeze. I could change the locks 100 times, install cameras, bolts, iron chains, but no lock could keep out this feeling of being violated. It had soaked into the very walls. I sat there until dawn, palms pressed against the cold window glass. I looked down at the ivy, the secret path my mother chose instead of my front door. A chilling thought crept in. They aren't afraid of getting hurt while climbing. They're only afraid of not being able to get in. The anger cooled, replaced by a numbing emptiness. I had talked, argued, begged, and drawn a line in steel, and they had stepped right over it with a basket of food and dirt on their hands. In their eyes, I'd always be the child in that room, and my adulthood was just an unconvincing performance. How do you prove to someone that you're grown up when they've already decided not to see it? Maybe. I had to show them the opposite. A crack opened in my exhausted mind. Dark, dangerous, and the only exit I could see. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I realized if I didn't do something truly shocking, I would never have freedom in my own home. To them, my maturity was an optional choice. And I realized there was only one way to end this. I had to disappear. Literally. A plan started taking shape in my head, a plan that even Mike flinched at when he heard it. It started that night. I didn't just want to move. I wanted them to taste real fear so they'd understand the cost of their intrusion. I called Mike, my neighbor growing up, now a cop. He'd seen it all. He was the one who saw my mom waiting at the school gates every single day, the one who snuck me out to my first concert and took the heat when we were 10 minutes late. Mike knew the shadow of my family wasn't just a story. He'd lived in it too. Now, needing help on the thin line between the law and morality, he was the only one I could trust. I need you to help me. Just this once, I said, my voice hardening with resolve. I'm going to turn this house into a staged crime scene. Mike was silent for a long time. You know this could cost me my badge, right? His voice was heavy. I know, I whispered, but I have no other choice. A thick silence followed. Then Mike spoke, his voice low and distant. I worked Tace, last 10-year-old girl. Her mom was obsessive. Read every text, tracked her GPS 24/7. The girl finally ended her life. Her note was just one line. I just wanted to be myself for once. I don't want you to end up like that, Emily. So I'll help. But this is the only time, and only to wake them up. I left everything in the house exactly as it was. Friday morning, I called out of work. Using my designer skills, I mixed red acrylic paint with syrup until I had a dark liquid that looked exactly like blood. I splattered it under the bed, created drag marks across the floor, and tossed the pillows like there'd been a struggle. I intentionally left the bedroom window wide open, the screen lying on the ground outside. Sitting alone in the dark kitchen, one last time, holding a family photo from when I was little, grinning next to my parents, tears hit the glass. Am I becoming the villain? I whispered to the empty room. But if I don't do this, will they ever understand? I turned off my phone, left it on the kitchen table, and walked out. I checked into a cheap motel in the next town over and waited. I didn't know where this path would lead. But I knew one thing. My parents were about to get the biggest lesson of their lives. Saturday passed in total silence. Then Sunday. On the other end of the line, Margaret was losing her mind because she couldn't reach me. Finally, they did what they always do. They climbed the trellis. But this time, instead of an empty house, they found a crime scene. The silence inside was deafening. "Emily?" My mother's voice, usually so commanding, was thin and shaky. No answer. Just the smell of stale food from the containers on the counter, the roast she had brought over, and a faint, sweet, metallic scent hanging in the air. My dad stepped in first. He froze in the living room, eyes glued to the dark hallway leading to the bedroom. Long, dark, jagged streaks stained the polished hardwood. "Margaret, don't come in here." His voice was a ragged whisper, but she pushed past him. She saw them. Drag marks, leading from the bedroom door, fading out like a body being hauled away. A sharp gasp escaped her throat. Her hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. The bedroom door creaked open. Inside, the darkness was slashed by the dim light from the wide-open window. The sheets had been ripped from the mattress, draped haphazardly across the floor, and there, under the bed, was a dark, viscous pool. "No!" My mother's scream shattered the silence, a sound of pure terror she didn't even recognize as her own. She collapsed to her knees, reaching for the stain, then flinching when her fingertips touched the sticky, still damp liquid. "Emily, my baby." She whimpered, eyes darting around the room, which looked like a frantic struggle had taken place. My dad, face ashen, leaned heavily against the doorframe, clutching his chest. Call the cops," he wheezed, but my mom could only shake her head, sobbing uncontrollably, her hands gripping the dark red sheets. In that devastating moment, the contrast between the cold leftovers on the table, the symbol of her control, and this chaotic nightmare was a blow to the heart they never saw coming. 17 missed calls, 12 voicemails. My mom's voice in my inbox was shattered, borderline manic. "Emily, oh my God, where are you? There's blood. John, there's blood everywhere. Where is my daughter?" They were paralyzed, calling friends and family, but they were terrified to call the police immediately, scared they'd be suspects because of their history of breaking in. The weight of the fear was crushing. Their neighbor, Linda, was already whispering, "I saw Margaret climbing her daughter's window." Looking back, that was so not normal. In my office group chat, a coworker messaged, "Emily mentioned her parents once. I thought she was exaggerating. Now that this news is out, the reality is even more terrifying." After 2 days of pure hell, they finally reported it. The police arrived, with Mike secretly coordinating behind the scenes. They were questioned like suspects. Mike, playing the role of the stern officer, didn't hold back. "Folks, I get that you're worried, but the scene suggests a struggle. And since you're the only ones with keys and a history of unauthorized entry, I have to ask you to stay in the city until we find Emily, or her body. The law calls climbing through windows breaking and entering. Sometimes smothering love is what pushes kids the furthest away." My parents were trembling, totally drained. They went to church, praying through tears. While there, Mom started scrolling through old photos on her phone. She stopped at a picture of me at 10 years old, holding a first-place ribbon for an art contest, grinning ear to ear. Her voice cracked as she spoke to my dad. "Remember this? She painted a house with 1,000 colors and heart-shaped windows. We told her a house had to be serious. We made her redraw it, a square red-roofed house. She didn't paint anything for a month after that. Maybe we'd been trying to redraw her life for far too long. I waited 1 more hour. I didn't call. I just went home." That evening, when they returned from church to my house, broken and defeated, they pushed open the bedroom door. The room was pitch black, except for the steady tick-tock of the clock and a faint trace of my perfume. When Mom touched the blood stain on the sheet, still tacky and damp, she let out a sob of pure despair. That's when I flipped the bedside lamp on. Mom's scream caught in her throat as the soft yellow light flooded the room. I sat up slowly in bed, the blanket falling away. In that moment, I didn't see powerful authority figures. I saw 2 old, trembling people who were completely falling apart. I'd been gone for a few days. My voice was ice cold and measured. How did it feel? And how does it feel knowing someone broke into your home, laid in your bed without your permission? I stood up, walked over to her vanity in the room and picked up their house key. The one I'd taken from their keychain without asking, exactly like she'd done to me. In that heartbeat, she didn't just see a rebellious, ungrateful daughter. She saw the 5-year-old girl running into her arms with a messy drawing, kissing her cheek and saying, "I love you most, Mommy." She saw the 17-year-old girl convulsing with a high fever, the one only she had found in time, staying up all night wiping away sweat and praying. How could she believe that this door, the only thing standing between her and that vulnerable little girl, was now locked, as if she were some kind of dangerous stranger? I could walk into your house anytime I want, lie in your bed without an invitation. I could do your laundry, reorganize your closets, or swap out the art in your living room. But I don't, because I actually know what respect means. Do you? I laid it all out for them. The stage scene, the fake blood, how Mike helped me set the whole thing up. Everything I did, it was just to make you feel what it's like to be violated, to feel the agony of losing your daughter because of your own need to control her. And there's one more thing. I walked over to a small suitcase I'd packed, pulled out a little black USB drive, and held it up. For the last 3 months, ever since that night Lily stayed over, I've had hidden cameras running. Every single time you entered my house without permission, every time you touched my things, every time you climbed through that window. It's all here. 17 separate counts of trespassing. I dropped the USB on the table. The tiny click sounded like a gunshot in the suffocating silence. I don't want to use this, my voice shook slightly. In the US, with evidence of repeated intrusion and the psychological toll it's taken on me, I have the legal right to file for a restraining order. But I'm hoping I never have to. My mother, Margaret, crumpled to the floor, buried her face in her hands, and just sobbed. Emily. Honey, I'm so sorry. I was just so scared of losing you. For the first time ever, I saw the iron in my father's eyes completely shatter. I was wrong, John choked out. We were both wrong. Our love turned into something toxic. I promise you, I'm gonna learn how to respect you. He stopped, as if that promise took every ounce of strength he had left. His large, calloused hand flew up, clutching the left side of his chest, bunching his t-shirt into a mess of wrinkles. A small groan escaped his lips. His tanned face went ghost white, sweat suddenly beading on his forehead. John, what is it? What's wrong? My mom's voice flipped from despair to pure panic. My dad stumbled, reaching for the wall to steady himself, gasping for short, ragged breaths like the room had run out of air. My chest. It hurt so bad, he wheezed, eyes squeezed shut. Seeing that physical pain, triggered by the very emotional shock he'd helped create, was more terrifying than any accusation I could have made. The only sound in the room was the steady tick-tock of the clock, the one my mother had replaced the batteries in just last week. Now it sounded like a countdown. I stood there, frozen. Every instinct screamed at me to run to him, but my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. Did I just almost kill my father? I leaned down, gently picked up the USB drive and pressed it into my mother's trembling, ice-cold hand. You keep this, I said, my voice softening. Let it be a reminder for all 3 of us. Real keys don't look like this. They look like trust. And I want us to start there. For the first time, she didn't look at me like a child who needed protecting. She looked at me with the respect you give another adult. The fake lesson is over. But trust isn't rebuilt overnight. I'm moving out. Over the next 3 months, I moved into a secret, new apartment. It was smaller, but the natural light was incredible. I hung a loud, colorful tapestry on the wall, the kind of thing my mom would have definitely called tacky. I bought a cactus and forgot to water it for a week, then laughed to myself when I realized it was still perfectly fine. I started taking on bolder freelance design projects, stuff I used to turn down because I was afraid it wouldn't look professional enough in the eyes of someone who wasn't even the client. Every night, I lock my door with 3 separate deadbolts. Not because I'm afraid of someone breaking in, but because I can. Sleep comes naturally now. I don't wake up with that nagging, jittery feeling that someone is watching me. In that safe space, time started moving to a new rhythm. The first week, my phone was a graveyard, a heavy silence that felt different than the angry cutoffs of the past. Then a text came. Not from Mom, but from Dad. Just one line with 2 typos. Kid, I'm okay. How are you doing? I didn't answer right away. That afternoon, I sent back, I'm good. Glad you're okay. No prying questions, no advice. Just that. A few days later, Mom sent a photo of the neighbor's cat sitting on their porch with the caption, "He misses you." I knew she wanted to say something else, but she held back. I hearted the photo. It's our new way of talking, full of space and caution. Aunt Carol, who I still catch up with, told me that over tea one day, my mom sighed and said, "My Emily, she's stubborn. But maybe she just needs her space, her way." The phrase "my little girl" was gone. Little by little, I'm starting to notice those small shifts. My mom's ghost-like voicemails started to fade out. My dad, a man who barely knew how to open a text app, started sending these short, clumsy messages. "Kid, we're okay. How are you?" Aunt Carol told me Mom stopped calling me her little girl. Now it's just my Emily. They're learning how to breathe in a room without the walls of control they spent years building. I kept my replies short, a necessary fence. They're living in a state of genuine regret and fear now, but this time, they don't dare cross the line. My silence isn't a challenge for them to overcome anymore. It's a boundary they finally learned to respect. When I started sensing real sincerity in their check-ins, no prying for my address, no demands, I agreed to meet them at a neutral coffee shop. Those first few talks were guarded, but safe. Then, one Sunday, Mom texted, "I'm making pot roast. Your favorite. Dinner at 6 if you want to come over." I stared at that message for a long time. "I'll be there at 6. I stood in front of my childhood home. When Mom opened the door, her eyes lit up, but I stopped at the threshold. "Before I come in, I need you to know, this is the first time I've been invited here. Before it was just a requirement." "There's a difference, Mom." She nodded, tears shimmering. I stepped inside but left the front door cracked open. It wasn't an invitation for them to walk back into my life on their terms. It was a reminder that I'm the one holding the keys now, and I can walk out the moment a boundary is breached. 6 months later, Mom and I are sitting across from each other in a small cafe. She pulls a small gift from her bag, wrapped in navy blue paper, my favorite. I open it. It's a blank picture frame. Natural wood, simple, elegant. I look up at her, confused. She smiles and her eyes are clearer, softer than I've seen them in years. "I don't know which photo you'd like. I don't know which moment in your life matters most to you anymore. So, you choose." She pauses, her voice thick with honesty. "It's your life, Emily, your memories, not mine." I run my thumb over the smooth wood of the empty frame. It's not a finished gift, it's an invitation. A quiet, empty space that isn't asking for anything, just waiting for me to fill it with my own choices, my own moments, big or small, that I value. It's more than a key, it's a blank plot of land, and I'm the only architect. For the first time in forever, a real smile, no jagged edges, no armor, hits my face. I'm Emily, I'm 27, and I finally truly hold the keys to my own life. The empty frame is finally filled, not with a picture, but with respect. Emily found her way back, but the journey left cracks that only time can heal. Maybe the biggest lesson isn't about who won, but this: boundaries are fragile things that need to be drawn in permanent ink before they get washed away by tears. So, where do you stand? Do you cheer for Emily's brutal wake-up call to protect her freedom? Or do you think traumatizing her own flesh and blood went way too far? Spill your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear the debate. If this story hit home, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next journey into finding your own voice. And if you know someone who's suffocating under someone else's love, share this with them. Sometimes, just knowing you're not the only one fighting this battle is the first step toward winning it. Thanks for writing this out with me. I'll see you in the next one.